Hi, I'm Ben Osterhaus, and I'm going to show you a string library that I made. There's a type of stroke called portato, and you do it when you have repeated notes and they're all square together, so you're doing them all in the same bow. What I like about portato is that there's a lot of variation and expression that you can put into those repeated notes. For oscillation strings, in order to go in depth with these repeated notes, I decided to record everything as arcs, and then this way, over the course of the crescendo and the decrescendo, I was able to do things with how I was doing the repeated notes, like how I was using my bow and accenting each note. So, looking at the interface, in the lower right corner we can see there are 4 different speeds of portato notes. So recorded at 120 BPM we have half notes. And we have quarter notes. And then at 90 BPM, also quarter notes. And if I play these still with the project tempo set to 120, they'll be a little bit time stretched. So you can hear the vibrato is a little bit faster. I think I'm gonna move the tempo down to 90. So there's that. And then the 8th notes. So as you can hear, between the 8th notes and the half notes, there's a bit of a difference in how the repeated notes are articulated. With the 8th notes, they have a little bit more energy to them, but then the half notes are a bit more, luxuriating. So far, we've just been listening to the longest swells, but in the middle, you can see there is an attack and decay knob. Let's say you chose a 4-beat attack and a 4-beat decay. You'd get something like this. So that sounds nice. You could also make the attack and decay be different lengths, which I can see that being kind of useful. Next to the attack and decay knobs, we have this compression slider. So what does this do? Well, obviously it compresses the dynamics, but this isn't just your regular compressor effect. It actually increases the intensity of an envelope, which brings up the volume of the soft parts of the swells. And as you can imagine, since we have all of these different length swells, you have to have a lot of tailor-made envelopes for each of these. It's kind of a lot of work, but it does sound better than just slapping a compressor on after Kontakt. The compression gives you some customization, some control over the shape of the arc, but if you want to have full control, you can go over to the expression tab. And now instead of controlling the envelope with attack and decay and compression, you can just use the mod wheel to crossfade between two dynamic layers. So far, the examples I've been playing have just been chords. And the other thing that you can do is not play them in time with each other. Fun fact, this is actually why I named it Oscillation Strings, because when you do stuff like this, it sounds like the strings are oscillating, I guess. Also, it's just kind of a cool name. Anyways, so just to recap, we have 4 different speeds of repeated notes. We have all of these different combinations of attacks and decays in the swells, which are playing each of these speeds. And for all of that, we have 4 different instruments. So there's viola versions of all of these swells at all of these different rhythms, cello versions of all of this, bass versions of all of that. Quite a lot of samples. I keep thinking, right when it gets to the top of the arc, I really want to change the chord and have it lean into a new chord. And unfortunately, that doesn't work when you don't have legato turned on. So much more useful. On top of that, you could add Legato Samples, which would add little sounds of the note changes in between the notes to help glue things together and make it sound more realistic. As you can see at the top, well, that more than doubles the amount of memory that's being used. And that's because you have to record all of the different intervals between all of the different notes. Okay, so no note change sample, but if I add the note like right after the beat so that you have almost the full length of a beat for the note change sample to take place, then you get something like this. Yeah, so now the question is, you might be wondering, what about if you play chords? Well, the script can figure out the best voice leading and trigger all of the appropriate note change samples when you go between chords. So let me demonstrate. All right, I think that covers everything that's included in the library. If you want to hear more examples of it in action, then definitely check out the demos I wrote. And also, I made another video that's a bit less heavily edited where I go into detail about the legato. So thanks for watching. Bye.